Welcome to UBG Bytes, the financial episode. Today we're ripping into a concept that's got, well, everyone buzzing. TikTok gurus, seasoned advisors, you name it. The FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. Sounds damn good, right?
It really does. I mean, the core idea, build up enough assets so your passive income covers everything, all your living expenses.
Yeah.
And the goal, well, it's to ditch the 9-to-5 grind way, way earlier than most people think possible. We've pulled together a ton of info for you. Academic critiques, real-world stories, the whole deal. Going to give you the real skinny on what it takes and, yeah, where the hidden traps might be.
Exactly. Those hidden traps are key. Our mission today, cut through the noise, figure out what FIRE actually means for your money. Is it a pipe dream?
Yeah.
Or, a legit path to freedom? We're going to get down and dirty with the numbers, bust some myths. Should be good. So let's kick things off. What the hell is FIRE, basically?
Okay, so at its heart, it's about maximizing your savings, like really pushing that rate up, widening the gap between what you earn and what you spend, and then crucially, investing that difference, that surplus. The end game is having enough assets throwing off passive income to cover, well, everything, all your costs. You know J.L. Collins, often called the godfather of financial independence.
Yeah, I've heard the name.
He put it pretty simply. Spend less than you earn, invest the surplus, avoid debt. Do simply this and you'll wind up rich. Simple words, tough execution.
Yeah. Sounds easy when you say it like that. But the savings rate, wow, we're not talking the standard 10-15% your parents aim for. This is like a whole other level. Listen to these numbers we found. Save just 10%. It took 9 years of work for 1 year of living expenses. 9.
Oof. Yeah, that puts it in perspective.
But crank it up to 50% savings. Now you're working 1 year for 1 year of living. Much better.
Okay, getting somewhere.
But here's the kicker, 75% savings rate.
Wow.
You work just 4 months to cover a whole year of expenses. Seriously, our sources say at 75% savings, you could stack up 25 times your annual expenses in less than 10 years.
Less than a decade. That's incredible acceleration. But, it's not just one single path. FIRE has different flavors, right?
Yeah.
Depends on your lifestyle goals, how intense you want to be.
Right, like the different types.
Exactly. You've got lean FIRE. That's extreme frugality. You need less money, a smaller portfolio.
Right.
Then there's fat FIRE, bigger budget, more luxury in retirement. You need a much larger nest egg for that.
Okay.
Then coast FIRE. That's where you save a lot early on, then kind of let compound interest take over. You might slow down saving, but you're not fully independent yet.
Coasting towards the finish line. Makes sense.
And barista FIRE. Partially retire, maybe get a part-time job you actually like for some income or maybe just benefits.
Like health insurance. Always the big one.
Exactly. So different paths, different levels of freedom and control.
Okay, this all sounds really appealing. Seriously tempting. But then we get to the big question, the million-dollar question, maybe literally. Is there one magic number, like that 25x rule? Does hitting that guarantee early retirement? Or is it, a hell of a lot more complicated?
That's the core debate, really. To dig into it, let's imagine two perspectives. Two fictional scholars arguing this out. Let's call them Dr. Swift Retirement and Professor Prudence.
Okay, I like it. Dr. Swift and Professor Prudence. So Dr. Swift first, the rule advocate.
Right. Dr. Swift would argue, look, the 25x rule, it's simple, it's effective, it gives people a clear target, it's a solid starting point for anyone serious about FIRE, provides that benchmark.
And Dr. Swift would have evidence, right? Like from Bankrate.
Exactly. Bankrate says at the core of FIRE calculations is the rule of 25. Multiply anticipated annual expenses by 25, boom, target goal.
So the example was, if you need $40,000 a year.
Your FIRE number is $1 million. 40,000 times 25. Simple. Clean.
Dr. Swift would probably also bring up Kiplinger's rule of $1,000.
Yeah, yep. For every $1,000 a month you need in income, save $240,000. Another simple rule of thumb.
And he'd point to that CNN quote from Justin McCurry.
That financial independence is well within reach of an average college graduate. Gives people hope, makes it seem achievable.
Plus, you see it all over places like Reddit, right? People just saying.
Yeah, 25 times your annual expenses should be about enough. It's common wisdom in the community. For Swift, it's about that clear, achievable target.
Okay, makes sense. Simple target, clear path. But then, Professor Prudence enters the chat.
Exactly. Professor Prudence looks at the 25x rule and the 4% withdrawal rate that usually goes with it and says, hold on. She'd argue it's a good start maybe, but potentially dangerous for early retirees. Why?
Longer time horizon.
Bingo. Much longer retirement. Plus, critical overlooked factors.
Like what? What does the 4% rule miss?
Well, Professor Prudence, citing T. Rowe Price, would hammer this. The 4% rule is based on a 30-year retirement. If you retire at 40, you might need that money for 50, 60 years.
Whoa, yeah, so 4% might not be safe for that long?
Might not. And Prudence points out what it ignores. Big things like taxes on withdrawals. You got to pay taxes.
Definitely can't ignore Uncle Sam.
And often Social Security benefits aren't factored in, which could help later, but maybe not early on.
And that scary thing? Sequence of returns risk?
Oh, yeah. Prudence would absolutely bring that up. If the market tanks right after you retire, when your portfolio is largest, drawing down on a shrinking portfolio for potentially decades, that's a nightmare scenario for early retirees.
Yikes.
She might even quote economist Karsten Jeske. He suggests a much more conservative withdrawal rate, maybe 3.25% or 3.5%.
Which means you need more saved up front, right?
Right. Closer to 28 or even 30 times your annual expenses, not just 25.
And you see that reflected online, too.
Yeah, people on Reddit saying things like, you'll probably need 30x to 40x, or for retiring at 40, aim for 30 times expenses. It reflects that caution.
So Prudence's main message is flexibility.
Totally. Her core point, borrowing from T. Rowe Price again, is that spending isn't constant in retirement. The key is accepting that spending is a moving target. You have to be willing and able to adjust it down if needed, just as easily as you might adjust it up.
Okay, so the takeaway from this debate, it's not just simple math.
Not at all. Hitting a number isn't the end. It's about having a dynamic plan, one that breathes and adapts.
Right, okay. So let's say someone is on this path or thinking about it. Beyond the number, what are the gritty realities, the practical stuff?
Good question, because it's not all spreadsheets and compound interest. Life happens. And one of the biggest worries, a really valid one, according to our sources, is healthcare.
Ah, yes, the elephant in the room for U.S. retirees, especially early ones.
Exactly. People think millions in the bank means crazy high insurance costs. But here's the insight. It's your income, not net worth, drives healthcare costs.
Okay, unpack that. Income, not assets.
Correct. The key number is your MGI, Modified Adjusted Gross Income.
NGI. Got it.
You could literally have millions stashed away. But if your MGI is low enough, you can qualify for big premium tax credits through the ACA, the Affordable Care Act.
So cheap health insurance, even if you're technically wealthy on paper.
Potentially, yeah. Because certain things don't count towards MGI. Withdrawals from Roth IRAs? Nope.
Nice.
HSA withdrawals for medical stuff? Nope. Depreciation on rentals? Business write-offs? Also nope.
Wow, okay, so you can structure things to keep MGI low.
Exactly. And if it's really low, in states that expanded Medicaid, that might even be an option.
And HSAs, health savings accounts, you mentioned those.
Oh, yeah. HSAs are amazing. A triple tax advantage. Money goes in pre-tax, grows tax-free, comes out tax-free for medical expenses. Huge tool.
Good to know. Any other healthcare strategies?
Some people look into alternatives, like direct primary care, DPC. You pay a monthly fee directly to a doctor for better access, or healthcare sharing ministries, faith-based groups, basically, that share medical bills. Pros and cons to both need careful research.
Okay, so healthcare is manageable with planning. What about managing income and taxes generally?
That becomes super critical. As an early retiree, you actually gain a lot of control. You decide when and where to pull income from. Taxable brokerage, Roth IRA, rental properties.
You control the timing?
Right. And you can use techniques like tax gain harvesting or maybe Roth conversions in low-income years to minimize taxes and keep that MGI down.
I read about that dad is fire guy. He bought a blog.
Yeah. Interesting anecdote. He bought a lifestyle blog partly to write off legitimate business expenses. His goal was to keep more cash while lowering taxable income, plus it kept him busy. Smart move, maybe.
I'm thinking longer term, Medicare.
Yeah, got a plan for that too. Avoiding IRMAA, those income-based surcharges on Medicare premiums, requires careful income planning in the years leading up to age 65.
Man, it really is like financial chess, constant strategy.
It kind of is, yeah.
Which brings up another point. Markets go up and down.
Ultra.
What about volatility? That must mess with your peace of mind.
Oh, absolutely. Morgan Stanley puts it plainly. Market volatility can impact both your finances and your peace of mind. It's real.
So how do fire folks handle that? Just grit their teeth?
Well, there are strategies. You might reassess your asset allocation as you get closer to or enter retirement, maybe shift a bit more to bonds or dividend stocks for income. Investing gradually can smooth things out. And definitely definitely keep cash reserves.
How much cash?
Some recommend a couple years of expenses in cash or very safe assets. That helps you ride out downturns without selling stocks low. Hedges against that sequence risk.
Don't panic sell.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Morgan Stanley stresses, avoid hasty decisions, avoid impulsive decisions, stick to the plan during turbulence. Panic is the enemy.
Okay, so we've covered the concept, the debate, the gritty realities. What are the actionable steps? What should you, listening right now, actually do?
Right, let's boil it down. Whether you're aiming for full fire or just more financial freedom, the principles overlap. Number one, non-negotiable. Aggressive saving and expense cutting.
Back to that high savings rate.
30%, 40%, 50%, even 60% plus of your income. It takes, as T. Rowe Price says, a willingness and capacity to sustain an elevated savings rate. You have to grow accustomed to spending less.
How, though? Where do you cut that much?
Big categories first. Housing is huge. Can you relocate? Get housemates. Downsize. Avoid lifestyle creep like the plague. Got a raise. Invest it. Don't spend it. Choose cheaper cars. Shop around aggressively for all your essential expenses, insurance, phone, internet. Every dollar counts.
Okay, save aggressively.
Then, optimize your investments. Use different account types smartly for tax advantages and, crucially, early access.
Early access is key if you're retiring before 59 and a half.
Totally. So understand things like Roth 401k, the rule of 55 for accessing 401k funds, penalty-free if you leave a job in or after the year you turn 55. Solo 401ks, if you're self-employed, offer high contribution limits. Roth IRAs, taxable brokerage accounts, know how they work.
Backdoor Roth IRAs for high earners, too?
Yep. Using these tools strategically lets you access funds early without penalties. Vital for FIRE.
Makes sense. What else?
Seek professional guidance. Don't feel you have to figure it all out alone. A good advisor can help you further fine-tune your strategy. And honestly, just having someone to hold you accountable can make a huge difference.
Keep you on track.
Exactly. And finally, bridge the gaps. Early retirement often means income gaps before pensions or Social Security kick in. So consider complementary income streams. Part-time work you enjoy. A side hustle. Understand your potential Social Security benefits, even if they're decades away. Any pensions. Factor those in. These extras reduce pressure on your investments.
Right. So it seems like the core message isn't just hitting some magic number. It's more about building a flexible, resilient financial life. Being smart, being disciplined. I like the point from Dada's Fire about his biggest mistake.
Yeah.
Not running the numbers earlier, especially on healthcare. He assumed it would be impossibly expensive.
But it wasn't, right, because of the MGI focus?
Exactly.
Yeah.
He found it was comparable to what he paid while working. It blew his assumptions away. So, the message for you, the listener, run the real numbers. Go to healthcare.gov, use a FIRE calculator, see what's actually possible for your specific situation. Don't just assume.
Absolutely. And ultimately, what all this research shows is FIRE isn't some rigid one-size-fits-all thing. It's a framework. Whether you want full early retirement at 35 or just more flexibility later on, the principles are sound. Aggressive saving, mindful spending, smart investing, they work.
Yeah, exactly. It really boils down to control, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Control over your income, control over your spending,
It can
control over how you design your life. You can work less, pursue passions, or just have that fuck it fund, that cushion for whatever comes next. It doesn't have to be some crazy, unattainable dream.
No, it doesn't.
But look, it ain't easy. Let's be real. It forces you to confront some uncomfortable truths about money, about your habits. So the real question for you listening is, what are you going to do with this information? You going to try and light your own fire? Or just watch from the sidelines?
Maybe just start by thinking about what financial freedom really means to you. Personally, it might not be quitting work cold turkey at 40. It might just be gaining the power to choose. Choose how you spend your time, your energy. That's the real prize, I think, that autonomy.
Well said. That's it for the CBG Bytes. Thanks for tuning in with us.
Yeah, thanks, everyone.
We'll catch you on the next one.